Castro, and you've tuned into Leaders with a Mission. And today I have someone who you should know a little bit more about. His name is Frank Irias, and let me tell you a little bit about him. So Frank helps small businesses attract their ideal clients by packaging, designing, and crafting their unique brand identity. He is principal and creative director at DAISHO Creative Strategies, a brand consulting and award-winning design team. He's thoughtful, curious, and an intuitive creative. His superpower is creating a human connection that makes brands unforgettable. And with you, let me introduce you to Frank Irias.
Thanks. I like it.
Thank you, Frank, for being here. And we're talking about Leaders with a Mission. So let me ask you, before we get into the details, let me ask you, what's the story behind DAISHO Creative? How was DAISHO born? Like, tell me a little bit more about what it is so we can have a little bit of context.
So actually, DAISHO was in 2007 when we established it. I actually bought into a business. I had a partner at first. And it was simply the idea of trying to go from working for someone to just do it on your own. It's the second time that I was doing it on my own. First time I was too young. This was the second time at it. And that's just how we put it together. We were lucky. We were in the right place at the right time when I joined. So it's become very successful. And then since then, I bought the business from my partner, and in 2012, and then I've been on my own since then.
Now let me dive a little bit deeper, because this feels like this is the business part. I'm interested in the heart of your business. So tell me a little bit of how did you discover you were a designer? Tell me a little bit about the passion behind the brand.
I was practically born with a pencil. So I knew I was going to be some kind of creative, or let's say it was obvious that it was going to be some kind of creative, somewhere along the way. I got specifically into branding the day that I finished school. I had a first customer, and I began to realize that if I asked more questions and I learned more about the customer, the challenges, the opportunities, all the things that was their world, it made my design better. So at the time it was graphic design. I was just trying to make a better design. But the exploration became more interesting, or just as interesting as design. So I really like digging in and learning what the story is behind the story, sort of like you do. And it helps me put the work, at a higher, make the work at a higher level. But it also allows me to escape my own work. So it's like you're precariously living through them. And for a little bit of time, you're in their journey, and you're like implementing and making them achieve what they're looking for.
I love that, because that's very much, I feel like what you do, brand and design, is like a sister family member of the creatives, and in video it's exactly the same thing. It feels like you're living through them, that you get to touch their magic and they touch your magic. So it's just gorgeous. So tell me about what has been the biggest challenge of you as an entrepreneur, as a leader in your industry. There's so many designers, there's so many people who do web design. What makes you guys stand out from the rest? What is that differentiator? What is your flavor? What is that?
Actually, I just kind of described it. The fact that you're able to dig in. The majority of the designers, or a large number of them, they want to get to the design portion of it. And what I found was that if you were able to just take 5 steps back and actually learn about them, it's actually how I ended up also writing and getting involved in telling the story. Because when you ask enough questions and you go deep enough, all of a sudden you have a perspective of the business that sometimes even the customers don't have it. The customer, it's like you're going to a shrink. You go to therapy and you can't give yourself therapy. It's easier to give therapy to someone else. So it's a similar scenario. When you're able to kind of internalize their needs, you're able to put out better work for them, and that it's a differentiator.
What is the most difficult part about that? About being in business, about leading what you do? What have you noticed that as an entrepreneur, it hasn't been the walk in the park?
I think depends on the individuals. Some people have different strengths and different weaknesses. For me, the for sure, I'm an introvert by nature. I need my me time to be able to recoup and do that stuff. So I can sit in front of a computer for 16, 20 hours and not skip a beat and then go wherever you want to go. This kind of dynamics actually draws more energy out of me, but it's also exciting. It's also nice to interact. So it's the challenge for me has been more of on a sales aspect, if you will, just knowing that, hey, this is the things that you got to do. They're not the things that you enjoy the most. They're the things that you have to do to get to the stuff that you want to do.
I can so relate to that.
Yeah.
I can so relate. I can so relate to talk about this dance, and as an entrepreneur does have its own like tripping moments, right? Where there are skills that you get to master as you go along, and other ones that you really have to work on to like bring forward. Tell me about, what are the things that inspire you? What are the things that keep you motivated? What are the things that bring more life into you, into your business?
It really comes down to the learning. So design by now, I see it as it's like tying my shoes. I know I can design something and it will look attractive. What keeps me going is, I'm always excited about the next job. It's always fun to learn about a new business and what they're doing. Somebody is reinventing something always. And again, for that period of time, you're just kind of learning about that business. And it's fun. I'm curious about how they do what they do. I could have been a shrink for sure. I could have been been a therapist of some kind. So I enjoy also the different personalities. Some people are more driven, some people are more lax, some people are, and you kind of, play off of that. And that keeps you going.
In the introduction, you have a sense of tapping into like the untangible. When did you discover you had this sense of, of awareness?
I was not going to be a math major, that was for sure. But I was very good at feeling the room. When did I figure it out? I don't know. I think when I started meeting customers and I started having conversations about their business, and you see the eyebrows racing or that twinkle in their eye when you said something, or you noticed something that they said and you turned it around and said you could do it like this, and then they're like, I never thought of it like that. So that, when I started working with customers, definitely that's when I figured it out, and that's what I ended up liking about branding. I don't see branding as graphics, as sometimes it's described. To me, branding is more about, the story above marketing. So marketing is here, just doing the selling and the, hitting the pavement and this and that. The branding portion is like above it. Where's the story above that so that you can actually go out and sell it?
When did you decide to become an entrepreneur? What pushed you there? For you, what was that?
I went into college thinking that I wanted to work at an ad agency. It was the yuppie days, so I was thinking I was going to wear a jacket, tie, dress up. I wanted my office with a view. That was, the whole, Mad Men sort of story. But around mid college, mid years of college, I started realizing that I like control. I enjoy being able to do the work that I want to do and work for the people that I want to work for. So for me, the drive of owning my own business at first was simply just, I wanted to control my environment and what I wanted to do. And then I realized that, hey, if I do that, I don't have to wear slacks. I can wear jeans all the time. I don't have to wear a tie. I'll take the jacket, but not the tie. And that was enough.
I'm sold.
Yeah, that was the deal.
Give me one of those with 2 cherries on the side, and I'll take it to go. Yeah, I get that. And I feel like we get to work with similar clients, people who, for us at least, I'm going to take the lead and speak for both of us because we've worked together in different projects. So I guess I get to do that. We get to work with people who are soulful and mindful and that are doing a bigger thing, that they take us in their ride. For you, what's the funnest part about that ride?
The end result. So for me, it's you know, it's all means to an end. You know, so I'm asking all the questions so that I can get to a place where I know the business, and now I can't do your job, I can't do your business, but we're at a level that I can understand where you're headed and where you're going. And then sometimes you got to push them past their own, you know, paradigms. You know, like, you know, this is how they see themselves, and then they can't see further. And it's like, no, you can actually do that. And then that becomes a translation for me. You know, so I take that, yes, you can do that, to, hey, we put it on paper or on a website, or, you know, in the graphics or video when, you know, when I think the person is ideal for video. You know, that process is the most fun part, but for sure the end result when you're like done.
As a creator, I can totally relate in the sense of we create to evoke a sort of emotion, to make sure that we make people feel alive. And there's no better feeling than that. I say sometimes, I wish I was a fly on, like, when they get to review something without us being present. I was like, I want to be a fly right next to them so I can see their facial expression. I can see them and kind of like take in what you've poured your heart into to create.
Yeah, and that's actually, you know, so for me, you know, my ideal customer often is a woman, usually because they're more expressive. So you do a job for a guy, and I would be one of those that be like, oh, this is nice. And I didn't go through the process of celebrating enough the accomplishment. Ladies, on the other hand, tend to be more expressive. And so they kind of give you the, you know, this is beautiful. I love this. You hit it out of the ballpark, you know, that kind of stuff. So I tend to, you know, my customers tend to be a lot of women.
And I think that, in my opinion, you because you have this intuition sensitivity, they feel understood. Like that sense of getting someone, that's something that everyone wants to feel, like someone sees me and they see me for who I am. So I think that that's something that you bring to the table. So let me ask you this: what books, what teachers, what mentors inspire you to become a better leader in your field?
So I read a lot more about branding and marketing and all that stuff, you know, when I was younger. Now I read other things. But first book that I ever read was Positioning. The author was Irias, which is an agency guy. The book was written back in the 70s. And that's what got me into branding. I read things that I thought, I'm doing this naturally. And then at the same time, it's like, I love this. It was like, you know, this is awesome. So Positioning was for sure, it was the first book, and for sure was the one that put me in the path. But, you know, I think that a lot of the typical ones, Good to Great, Start with a Why, Purple Cow, a lot of the things, a lot of the books that a lot of people would probably mention. Nowadays, I'm reading more about business and accounting and, and leveraging money and investment and that kind of stuff.
You're in a different season of your life.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. What is your personal definition of leadership?
Do the right thing, be kind, and if you didn't get it right, today, just figure out how to get it right tomorrow. I think if people just did that, if the customer just knows that you care, you can make a lot of mistakes and get away with murder because you were, they know that you cared and it was just a mistake. So being leadership that's how you define it. And then for the employees as well, if the employee feels that you care, you can ask for a lot and they'll give you a lot more if you just care.
And to close this last question, what legacy do you want to leave behind? What is it that you want to be remembered by?
At a business level, I don't, I'm not going to invent the light bulb. I'm not going to have the Tesla, running around that is, and created. So from a business perspective, I suppose it's simply just good at what I did and that I was decent at it and that I helped somebody move from one place to another and elevate their business or give them, a leg up. At a personal level, it's just, that I'm was able to get my family, my kids, my nephews, just from here to here.
Beautiful. So can you tell us where can we find you? Like if somebody wanted to find more about you, where can they do that?
Sure. So the website, of course, is DAISHOcreative.com. They can call our office. It's 305-234-5617. And if you Google my name, you'll find me online. So simple enough.
And for those of you who are leaders, change makers, or want to make a dent in the world with leadership, I'm going to ask you to visit us at forproductions.com, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.